What you looking at?
Bath time for 7-month-old Britton Brabham, one of the rare moments of intimacy he has with his 19-year-old mother, Tracy. But this moment, like most of their other times together, is filled with unease. It's not just the unfamiliar territory of motherhood, for Tracey Brabham is trying to learn how to be a mother and kick her addiction to crack cocaine at the same time. And that puts Tracy and her child in what drug specialists believe is a new and growing class of disadvantaged youth with problems unlike anything society has seen before.
It's hard to take care of babies and them things don't match. I can't get high and take care of babies. All right.
Recently, Tracy has completed a 6-day detoxification program at a local hospital in a suburb of New York City, near where she lives. She says she's off drugs these days, but she remembers the struggles months before when she did smoke crack and try to take care of the baby too.
I wasn't right to be no mother, because a little baby you gotta pay attention to. And when you do that stuff, you don't want to hear no noise and stuff. You want to get away from, you don't want to hear it. So a baby's gonna make noise. You can't tell it to shut up, so.
What about when you were first pregnant? Were you using then?
I did use it, but so like 5 months, because then after that you don't feel comfortable using. I mean, you don't even, like, if I wasn't pregnant, I think I'd be looking for more or something like that. But I wasn't interested, and maybe because I was sick. Not that I was thinking about my health, because I did do it, but.
Tracy says there are a lot of reasons she'd like to forget the past few years of her life, not the least of which was taking back gifts to the store to get money to buy drugs, gifts given to Tracy by her grandmother.
The worst thing is like taking things back to the store, like asking my grandmother for, saying a lie or something like that, to ask my grandma for some money for that I didn't need it for, but I would lie and ask her. I ain't never do nothing, disgusting. I never did anything like sold my body and nothing like that.
Tracy's grandmother, Mary Hood, is one of the most important people in her life. She took her in when Tracy's mother, herself a drug abuser, threw Tracy out of the house. Mrs. Hood has 9 children, 14 grandchildren, and 2 great-grands. But for now, Tracy is her main concern.
I don't want anything to happen to her. I don't want anything to happen to the baby. And that's the only thing I can say, It's just, that's my worry, my biggest worry. That's why I try to keep her here with me, because she and her mother doesn't get along.
How long can she stay here?
Until she can get herself together, and as long as she wants to. As long as she wants to stay here, I'm here, and she can stay here.
Where do you think Tracy's problem started?
I more or less think it started in the home.
How?
Well, through the parents, more or less.
You said you were surprised the mother was a nurse or something?
Yes, she's a nurse. She doesn't even know I know that she's using them. She just keeps telling me that she's not.
Mary Hood doesn't want Tracy to repeat her mother's mistakes.
It's kind of saddened me, because I thought that, it would bypass her. But then I don't even know why I would think that anyway, because it was more or less in her home, and, being there just about all of her life, I don't even know why I thought it would bypass her, but I was hoping that it would.
What will you do if she gets back on drugs?
I'll just jump right back in again and try to do it, try to do what I can to help her.
Mary Hood is also there for Tracy's 10-year-old brother, Bobby.
Could you sign this paper for soccer?
He still lives with his mother, but turns to his grandmother for most things. And Mary Hood is all too eager to oblige, especially because she's worried about the environment where her daughter lives. It's only a few miles away in the town of Greenburg. Drugs are plentiful and are dealt openly. Not even the presence of a television camera crew stopped the action. Fearing what this drug scene could mean for Tracy when she was pregnant, Mary Hood pressured her granddaughter to come and live with her.
I lived in, like, the main part of my town, and everybody I knew sold it or did it or something.
It was Grandmother Mary who confronted Tracy about the dangers of using drugs while pregnant.
Well, I tried to explain to her what damage it would do to the baby. Like I told her, of course, at your age, a baby is not really the answer, but since you are pregnant with it, let's try to bring a healthy baby here. You know, we don't want a baby that's going to be, something's wrong with it, or, you know, and just anything could happen.
After a while, she say, you know, they take the babies from you in the hospital if they born with crack and all. But I didn't think I was doing enough to be, I mean, in any amount is too much, but I didn't think I was doing, you know, any damage because the people that was doing it and had babies was doing much more than me. So.
Tracy admits she's needed her grandmother's wisdom since Britton's birth, especially when he had breathing problems.
He would hold his breath. My grandmother, when I came over here, my grandmother, like, would hit him on his back, and he like, be like, not even breathing. I'd be thinking I did everything wrong. So.
Blaming
so,
yourself.
Yeah, so I got back in the end that I shouldn't have been doing no drugs or nothing like that, because then I was, like, crazy after that, you know, when I had him, like, what did I do, or something like that, you know.
From time to time, other family members pitch in to help. Ms. Hood's other daughter, Frances, is employed at IBM and is one of the family's success stories. She has her own apartment and a car and comes to drive Tracy to the doctor's office. They are accompanied by the baby's unemployed father, Isaac, who is not married to Tracy. Everybody gets involved in this effort because in the past, Tracy would miss appointments. That's because to get to the doctor, she had to pass through Greenburg.
I missed appointments. I would go to Greenburg and spend the money and come back.
Spend the money on
drugs.
Hi, Trace. Hello, how are you?
Fine.
How's my baby boy here?
Dr. Carolyn Bauman has known Mary Hood for more than 35 years.
I've been physician to Mary's children, to her grandchildren, and now to her great-grandchild.
Tracy has been better about keeping her appointments in the last few months.
He first came to see me in November of '89, and he came in with a terrible bronchitis and high fever. And I did see him almost daily because I was so concerned about his bronchitis. It took a while. He cleared, and he no sooner got better than he came down with a gastrointestinal infection. And then right after that, he came down with a draining ear, so that he's had one really bad bout of infection after another. With it all, he's maintained his nutrition, and he looks pretty good.
Knowing Tracy's drug history, Dr. Bauman has some concerns arising out of the infections Britton has had. He had no drugs in his system when he was born, but the doctor worries about other possibilities, including an AIDS infection.
I don't think the cocaine has anything to do with the incidence of infection, but in the back of my mind, I have to worry about what kind of sexual partners Tracy had, because you can have a hidden HIV-positive baby there, and that would be my next step to test him for HIV virus if this incidence of infection continued, if I felt that he suddenly had more showing in his lungs or his liver or spleen or other things that HIV babies get.
Fueling Dr. Bauman's concern is current research that shows when mothers smoke crack, the often devastating effects on their babies may not show up until years later.
We have found that when they start pre-K, these children show learning problems. Some of them are hyperactive. Some of them have language learning problems. There might be difficulty in motor control with some of them. They each show different problems, but there are problems inherent in all of these children. And we are becoming more aware of them, and the schools are going to have to be geared up for them in the next 5 to 10 years, because there'll be many more babies like that being born every day.
Before the visit ends, the doctor quizzes Tracy about her routine.
You thinking about going back to school at all?
Yeah.
When, in September or over the summer?
No, as soon as they have a spot, or as soon as one open, I'm going to go.
Dr. Bauman worries about Tracy's ability to stay off drugs.
She keeps promising her grandmother that she's not going to use drugs anymore, but then she goes out. She'll disappear for a night. I know that because her grandmother's told me. Her grandmother's trying very, very hard, but she's not a trained person to get her off drugs. Unless Tracy gets an awful lot of care, medical care, psychiatric help at this point, I doubt very much if she's going to throw her habit.
You want to be a good mother?
Yeah. All right.
Tracy says she sometimes thinks about the future, maybe even going back to school, possibly even working. But for now, she says her immediate concern is staying off drugs and taking care of Britton. You ever think about getting married?
No.
After we left Tracy, we sought out her drug counselor, Jeanette Lee. She works for the Greenberg Housing Authority, counseling drug addicts on a one-on-one basis. What do you know about the reasons? We're creating a whole new class of people with this drug. What is it now that's different from some other time?
Well, crack is a brand new drug, and with it brought a whole brand new set of circumstances, okay? There has never, that I know of, been a drug that's been so readily available, that's been so cheap, and it's been so addictive, so early in its use, okay? I've seen people take one hit, okay, and like, that's it. They, they go on for another and to another and to another and do anything to get it. Literally anything to get it. So I've never seen a drug react this way. And that's scary right there. But people's curiosity make them use it because they want to see what it is. From the poorest people to the Wall Street executive, I've seen them all. I've seen them all. I've seen them come uptown from downtown on Wall Street and stand in alleyways and in doorways smoking crack. In amazement. I would be in amazement. I really thought I would never even see anything like that. To see a guy standing there with his trench coat on, and his alligator shoes and, attaché case on the ground because he's holding his pipe and, holding a flame to it. It is amazing how it can make someone do that. It can make you lose your job. It can make you lose your family. It can make you lose all your prized possessions that you own. It can make you forget about all of those things. It's a powerful drug. Powerful.
What can you tell me about Tracy? I mean, does she fit a particular profile?
Tracy's problem started with her environment and circumstances in which she lived in. Certain family members were involved.
What can you tell me about her grandmother, who seems to be a very strong force in her life?
You can only be but so strong for your children and your children's children. She has always been there for all of them to help in any way that she can. But she can't be in two places at one time. And she can't take care of everybody. But she certainly tries. She certainly tries.
One of the things that Tracy said was that she would always give her everything that she wanted. Is that good or bad?
I think it's bad in one respect because if no one's going to be on your back and, trying to make you do the things that you shouldn't be doing, then you're just going to go ahead and do it. Now me, Tracy knows I'm the one that's going to be on her back, okay? I'm on her constantly. She doesn't come home like she's supposed to. May will call me, and I'll go get her. If she's someplace that she's not supposed to be, I have no problem going and getting her.
Does that work?
Yes, because it shows them that someone does care. Someone is interested in them and their lives. I want to see Tracy make it. I want to see Tracy make something out of her life. I want Tracy and her son to be happy.
What do you think the chances of that are, realistically?
I think she's going to make it.
But she's very concerned that if she doesn't get out of this environment, she's not going to be able to get out of repeating this cycle of use and destruction to herself.
Mm-hmm. What I try to do is teach Tracy to live with the environment, okay? Because if you can't get out of it, you're going to have to learn to live with it. Okay, being realistically, we're not going to be able to take Tracy out of here and put her in Scarsdale, someplace where they don't sell drugs on the corner, and she's going to live in a beautiful apartment and all that. We can't give that to her. So we have to teach her how to live in a drug-infested environment and not do what everyone else does.
How hard is that going to be?
It's going to be hard. It's long and it's hard and it's tedious, but it can be done.
Why are you so confident about what it takes to make this work?
I was involved in the program myself. And I was in Harlem, New York at Addicts Rehabilitation Center. The philosophy of the program was if I could live and function in a drug-infested neighborhood, then I can go anywhere and live drug-free anywhere. And I've done that.
How did you get strung out?
People. I think it was just people and my circumstances. I got married at a very young age, and I wasn't ready for the marriage. So things weren't going the way I thought they should have gone. So I just turned into, like I said, using.
In your situation, how bad did it get?
I was shoplifting. And I would get away with it. You know, like I said, you know, I could take something here, there, and then you would sell it and get the money and buy the drug.
Did you realize what was happening to you?
I realized what was happening to me when I did get caught and I had to go to jail.
You went to jail for how long?
9 months.
Did you get any help while you were in jail?
No. No, there was no help available. They had someone that came in twice a week that talked about drugs. That's about it.
So what turned you around?
During my stay in jail, my daughter got pregnant at the age of 15. I was not there to help her. There was nothing I could do. By the time I found out that she was pregnant, it was 2 weeks before she had the baby. When I saw that little boy, that's what made me decide that I was never going to pick up ever again in life. And I was going to turn my life around. And that's what I've done.
What do you think is needed that isn't out there now to save young women like Tracy?
I think that most of the time it comes between a toss-up. Either I'm going to go into treatment or I'm going to have to give up my baby. And they don't want to give up their baby because they really do love their children. So if they could provide a treatment center that could also give them a nursery type of a situation so they could rehabilitate themselves with their family, I think you'll have a stronger bond between mother and child. And if we could get training, have it right there for them with rehabilitation, you have it all in one package.
But what else do you think is needed? Because, for example, I asked Tracy what she wanted to do with her life, and she really doesn't have much of a clue.
Right now, she doesn't. You know, Tracy is still going through a stage of learning about herself. Okay, she has a baby, and she's just a baby herself. Okay, so she has a lot of growing up to do. And actually, her and her baby are going to grow up together. Okay, so right now she needs me. She needs support from other people like myself and other agencies that can provide some sort of training for her to get her back into society and bring her back into the workforce so she understands how you have to take your baby to a daycare center, how you have to go to work every day, and how you're supposed to live.
How do you deal with that? I mean, since we seem to have growing numbers of these young people. I mean, schools aren't, at this point, equipped to deal with that.
This school's going to have to become equipped. They're going to have to become equipped. Okay, they're going to have to open their doors and their minds to the drug situation in the United States because it's becoming an epidemic. And the only way to fight it is at elementary school level.
The one place where kids have to go.
That's right.
Do you think society has special obligations here?
Their obligation is to prevent it from happening. I think that they want to provide treatment for people, but it's a limited amount of money that's being spent, and the way that the money is being spent is limited. There's a lot of different aspects to rehabilitating the mind and the body. So, you know, it takes a lot of time, and people don't want to give up their time, you know, more or less their space, because a lot of people want treatment centers, but they don't want them in their neighborhood. You know, it's all right to help them, but, you know, like, help them over there. Don't bring them over here, you know. So we have to come to a happy medium someplace. You know, it's happening in your neighborhood right there, so why can't we have a treatment center right in your neighborhood?
What's going to happen down the line if some significant things don't happen to turn this situation around?
It's going to be a vicious cycle. It's going to happen over and over again. The same things that's going on now. The Tracys of the world are going to keep using crack. They're going to keep carrying their babies around with them. And the babies might grow up to do the same thing because that's all they're going to know. And it'll just keep happening over and over again.
But people say, well, why should I care? Not my neighborhood, not my child.
Because it could be.